You're not going to get rid of guns. And I'm not going to say that people can that law-abiding citizens cannot defend themselves anymore and exercise their Second Amendment rights and think that's going to stop mass violence. People will figure out other ways to commit mass violence once they've unfortunately reached that point in their life. It's tragic and it's sad, and a lot of people, we don't understand what's happening, what's inside their heads, and so we look to these other solutions that I think aren't viable.
We're not going to do anything about guns. Dan Crenshaw joins the chorus of Mike Rounds, Tim Burchett, both representative and senator, to talk about how they have absolutely no interest in it. Remember that? I'm going to show you guys. These two guys. Watch.
It's a horrible, horrible situation, and we're not going to fix it. Criminals are going to be criminals.
When we start talking about bans or challenging on the Second Amendment, I think the things that have already been done have gone about as far as we're going to with gun control.
It's gone about as far as we're going to go on gun control. We're not going to do anything about it. We're not going to do anything about this gun problem. So before we start lumping them with these other folks who said absolutely nothing, or actually they said a lot, how much they're not going to do, let's let Dan talk about his actual plan. He did give us one.
The truth of the matter is, if we had a minimum of 2 armed guards or police officers at every single school in America, you'd probably prevent these from here on out.
Well, shouldn't helping save the lives of children be a top priority for you as a member of the House majority?
No, it absolutely should be, which is why I say I would look to the thing that would absolutely stop this, which is putting armed police officers at every school. I visit a lot of schools. I do talks at various schools. It's very rare that I go into a school, especially the newer ones, and they don't have some kind of armed police presence there at all times. So that's a preventive measure. That I know will stop this. And there was nothing like that in these last few mass shootings. There's no armed guards there.
Dan Crenshaw visits schools and has speeches at them, and what he noticed is some of these new schools, they got armed guards at every location, and that has eliminated the problem completely. Absolutely means nothing to do with our schools, because there's tons of schools in the nation that don't have armed guards, and they haven't had a school shooting either. So it doesn't really match up for what you're saying is, I'm going to guarantee and let you know that that's the problem, and that's actually what's going to change things. So, by the way, before we dismantle more of this ridiculous argument, he had more ridiculousness, though. Listen.
So the answer is more guns.
No, the answer is armed guards. No, the answer is armed guards, right? Armed guards, yes, more guns. The kind of guns that protect the president, that protect you all at CNN. Is it easy to get into your headquarters at CNN? Absolutely not. There's armed guards there. Yeah. There's single points of entry. I think we should look at our schools as a place that is precious and have the same kind of security that your corporate offices do, that we do in Congress. You know, if we consider a place to be important where our children go to learn every day, it should have the same level of security as every other place, whether it's a shopping mall or a corporate office that's hard to get into. You're not going to get rid of guns.
This is a rambling response. What it is that he just said about shopping malls being somehow locked down with armed security, what are you talking about? That's another place where a lot of these shootings happen, is shopping centers. So there's armed guards at all these shopping centers that it doesn't happen. It's made up. It's not reality. This is what he's doing. Either he has no idea what's going on, or he's absolutely, either he has no idea what is going on, or he does, and he just wants to push this and kick it down the road until people stop talking about it. And we have another school shooting. He collects more checks. He thinks he can promote himself based off of this and get reelected. That's the plan. The plan is definitely not to stop kids from being shot in schools. And outside of kids, how about adults? How about other folks? How about elderly people that don't want to be shot in the chest because they've made it to 85 years old? How about that? We don't want to protect anybody in this country. We're just going to go to letting it keep happening. Now, by the way, let's address this ridiculous plan of 2 armed guards at every school in America. The same schools that don't have much to pay for teachers and their salaries to actually accommodate for the amount that they're having to pay for general life. How about supplies? How about transportation? All these things that schools are suffering from. We're not paying for any of that, but we're going to pay for armed guards at every school. Let's look at this, because Fred Wellman went on Twitter and dispelled this ridiculous point for one aspect of it, because there's multiple. He tweeted this: armed guards, single points of entry. Instead of even the most popular gun reforms, his answer is turning thousands of schools into armed compounds. This is the part that sticks. There are 116,000 schools. That's 232,000 armed guards at minimum. He said minimum 2 guards at each school. And at $50,000 salary apiece, that's like $116 billion alone. What an asinine idea. I did the math. It's actually $11.6 billion. So not 116 billion, 11.6 billion. How much money has Republican congressmen set aside for this armed guards at every school and reinforcing and changing the doors and putting no windows in the damn places? How much are they looking to allocate for this? 11.6 billion a year, by the way, minimum, at schools that they couldn't give a hot damn about in any other aspect. And by the way, Burbank, I know I've been rambling and going at this for a very long time, but one more part here, because if outside of paying for all these school personnel and SROs at every school, how about what some of these schools that do have SROs there available that sometimes happens? How about this? Watch.
All right, don't move. You spit on me, I'll put a hood on you.
In a North Carolina elementary school, a student with autism, handcuffed with his hands behind his back, pinned on the floor for 38 minutes. At one point, court records say, the officer puts his knee in the child's back.
You ever been charged with a crime before? You ever been charged before? Okay, well, you're fixing to.
That child was just 7 years old.
It was horrifying. When I arrived there and I picked my son up off the floor, he was limp, completely limp.
In case after case across the country, we see the same scene played out. Federal data from the most recent school year available shows 715 students 5th grade or younger arrested at school. And our analysis found black and disabled elementary students were disproportionately more likely to be arrested than white students or those with no disability.
Kids that actually wouldn't be affected, which Dan Crenshaw has no problem with, because that doesn't affect him, Jessica. It's a pretty ridiculous argument.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous argument, and he's arguing against something that wasn't even a case made on the other side. No one said we need a full ban of all guns in the United States and to take every single person's gun away. That's just like not legislation that is on the floor that's going to pass. That's not what's popular in the United States. What's being considered is common sense gun reform to ensure that, as the Second Amendment says, we have a well-regulated militia, right? The right to bear arms is so we have a well-regulated militia. And so if the purpose of this amendment is that, oh, well, government can sometimes be, tyrannical, like we can have tyranny and they get carried away and they have too much power. And so his solution is, let's just live in a militarized police state. Let's just put armed guards. Let's go through TSA if we want to go shopping in the mall. Let's make the kids go through TSA to go to school. And then, of course, what are the consequences? Kids are getting arrested. It's absolutely absurd. It doesn't make any sense. I don't want to have to go through TSA just to go shopping. And it's weird that he says, we want Americans to be able to have guns to protect themselves, which goes to show, what do you think the solution is here? When you give someone a gun or when there's a gun sale, you say, do you promise to only use this, for hunting and to protect yourself? Like, do you promise to not shoot anybody? Like, it doesn't make sense the way they're talking about this. And then, of course, you have Burkett, who says criminals are going to be criminals. And I would just love for us to cut that soundbite and just put it with, I don't know, Donald Trump getting indicted, put it against when they're talking about being tough on crime. Criminals are going to be criminals. That's really your answer to this problem. It's bad policy.
Well, because it's illustrative of what their policy is, which is do absolutely nothing. They've run out of the thoughts and prayers because people have dispelled that so much. Now they have to be direct and open about what it is that they're about, which is more money from the folks who pay them to say this type of stuff. By the way, the comparison that Crenshaw made, because there's lots of points he made, and we could break down all of them. It could take a little bit too long. But one more I want to point out. He says when Dana Bash asked him, so the answer to you is more guns, and he kind of wanted to say no, but he had to. No, I mean more guards. Okay, yeah, more guns. Who does that benefit more guns from buying from the gun lobby, who's pushing them to say these types of things so more guns can be purchased? Well, by the way, he also said, who's run up into CNN, Dana, because you guys have armed security at the bottom? Who's run up into Congress? Because we got armed security there too. So the comparison you're making, think about it, people who supported this guy. The comparison he's making is that our schools, the 116,000 of them based off of this that tweet that I was talking about from Fred Wellman, if there's 116,000 schools in the country, it's the same thing as a CNN, which probably has several bureaus across the country, and then also Congress, which is one of them. And how much did that work when they ran up in there and tried to murder Mike Pence and kill all you guys for not backing this guy who wanted to say that the election was stolen from him? How did that work out for you guys? But it's going to be every school in the country. Please, it's not a serious solution. They know it's not a serious solution because they have no serious solution. Those serious solutions would lose them their donor money.